7:07.
Okay, 7.
7 what? 7:07? Executive session, January 27, 2015, 7:07 PM. Got it.
Okay, we can call a regular session to order. All trustees are present, including the village clerk and the village attorney.
Except Morton.
Yeah.
And Morton is not here. And I don't know what time you said, 7:08?
7:07.
Okay. Commissioner McGrath?
Okay, just to bring you up to speed for a couple items of litigation. Trustee Poskin and I were at a mediation last week on the litigation against Roadway on the water contamination case that the village is actually the plaintiff. Unlike most cases, that's with Johnny Norris, the firm from down in Alabama.
Okay. Yeah,
remember that?
He came in.
He came and he
Yeah.
spoke to some of you guys because the depositions have started. Some people have been deposed, and they're going to be next week, in the next few weeks.
Okay, so you say you all went down?
Yeah, they needed I don't know, the trustee's going to be down there for just a village representative. It was, the mediator was retired presiding judge, Don O'Connell, who used to run the whole Cook County court system. He's well-respected, good guy.
He didn't ask any questions about,
He has to,
the guy didn't ask any questions about what happened, did he? Down there, downtown?
the mediator?
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a background. He had a summary from the village's side and a summary from YRC or Roadway. Roadway's denying that they have any causation or no liability. Johnny Norris came in with a demand of $2 million. So we met for about half a day, and then YRC came up with $90,000, and then they went up another $10,000. So we're so far apart, we're just going to have to litigate it. And I think what their game plan is, they're going to try to outspend or make plaintiff spend a lot of money. In this case, the plaintiff is the village, but Johnny Norris's firm's fronting all the costs, so there's no cost to you guys.
Right.
But I think they're just going to be like, we've got the big downtown law firm, their adjuster who is there, so they're willing to spend $2 to $3 million in defending this case.
Instead of just
Makes
paying
no
it.
sense.
Instead of paying it out.
Yeah,
Makes
so
some sense.
what he did say, Johnny Norris, is like, he's got some experts, haven't seen the reports yet, that they're going to essentially say that reverse osmosis, even though the water goes away from Roadway and the well, that certain chemicals have a way of going kind of upstream. And although we can't have proof of any spills of vinyl chloride, he's really focusing in on the detergents or the cleansers that they use to clean roadway trucks over the years, and that saturate into the ground, and then the experts will say that could eventually turn into vinyl chloride. So I think that's where he's going. Like I told him a few times in the mediator, if you get in front of a jury, they're going to see the Google map, they're going to see where the wells are located, they're going to see Roadway, and they're going to see nothing but houses and farmland all around. And I think just with that, they're going to have experts on both sides. I would think that a jury would be more inclined to believe that Roadway is the cause because they've had spills there. There's nothing else out here, for the spills to come from. So it's probably going to go on for a couple of years unless they get scared and come up with money. So that's one piece of litigation. Was the good news. One of the bad news is that I got word.
Well, before you finish, did you say you were also at the...
I was there, yeah.
You were there? And also, to know for the record, we have depositions set up with key players in February and March for that case.
Yeah, they've all been scheduled.
Yeah, they've all been scheduled. So, okay, that's just...
Everyone's been notified. I think I saw an email today. Trustee Myers, yours might be continued because of a conflict with defense counsel, but they'll let you know.
But your firm going to represent us, or?
We'll be there, but actually Johnny Norris's firm is taking the lead. We're acting as local counsel, so they don't have to fly in to go to court every time and do all the legwork. So we're working with them, but that's, their expertise is the environmental, plaintiff's work. Okay. The next item, I got notice from the federal court last, I think it was on Thursday, that the Susan Dobrzinski, that matter had been settled. I know that you guys haven't been getting any updates about that case. I don't recall any of the attorneys that have been representing the village or the individual defendants coming in to give you updates about how the case was progressing, how depositions went, how, they haven't come up. So it kind of took me off guard that, I got an electronic filing from the federal court saying it was settled. So I reached out to the attorney who's been representing the village and the defendants and said, what's going on? Did you settle? He's like, yeah, we did. So he told me they settled it for $290,000. This was the case where Halivas and Salisbury and Mueller and
Jim Vella.
Grossman. Is there another officer?
Jim Vella.
And Officer Vella, when Ms. Dobrzinski's son was involved in some altercation, I think in Chicago Heights or South Chicago Heights. He was robbed, he was shot, she was distraught. She is an employee here, I don't know the woman, but she works here, and she was very upset and made some statements that Salisbury took that she was going to take her life, she's going to commit suicide, so she brought her to the hospital and had her involuntarily committed. She was in the hospital for 3 days, she was evaluated, and then she was released after 3 days. During that 3-day period, she had no information about how her son was doing, if he was alive or if he had died. While in the hospital, Salisbury and Halivas and the group took her purse and her keys and then went through her house. When her husband was there, I guess he suffered from MS real bad, again, basically an invalid, and they went through and ransacked the house looking for weapons, or I don't know what they're looking for. So she sued for wrongful arrest, violation of her civil rights, going into the house. In the meantime, her husband's passed away. Her son survived, but she was detained against her will for 3 days in a mental institution or a mental hospital when there was no need for it. So procedures weren't followed. They have not settled with the hospital or the doctors that were seeing her. So, all I know is that it was settled for $290,000. It's up to you guys. You have to actually approve it. If you don't approve it, then the defense continues and you guys have to pay for it. I didn't have a chance to reach out to Mohan, but with the SRI, you guys have already paid $50,000 of the legal defense. I can tell you the legal costs for that firm are well over $100,000. And then you tack on the $290,000, and it's with IMRF. So the bulk of the money won't come from you guys, but it's certainly going to affect you in the future with your loss run sheets and getting coverage in the future. And then you have the other pending cases that are going on. So you just need to be aware of that, and I'll let you know. But I have a copy of the complaints, the allegations. You guys know the players much better than I do. But it's a big settlement, and then the woman's probably, and looking at it from my angle, I think that she's going to get more money from the hospital and the doctors too.
But that doesn't affect
It
us.
doesn't affect you guys.
Okay.
Can I ask a question? Is that's Sue that works here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
She's an older
Yeah.
woman. I
She
say
works
older,
here.
but
50-something.
oh, she's not older than.
No, we back here in executive session because this is private, right?
This is private. The lawsuit is
I got
not
it.
private, and then the settlement has to be on the agenda, so that's why it's on the agenda for approval.
I got a phone call about this whole situation. Every word for word what you're telling me right now, earlier today, from a resident out here in Sauk Village. I said, they said, do you know about that? And it's going to be $290,000 we got to pay because they beat her son up. I was like, who told you that? They was like, you don't know about it? I'm like, no, I don't.
It has nothing to do with beating her son up.
I'm just saying this was what was told to me. But this whole situation, I'm just...
When did this happen? What year did this happen?
November of 2009.
Yeah, it's a while ago. And you did say we weren't getting updates from the other attorney like we should.
Well, since I've been here,
Right.
I don't remember getting anybody requesting to come here or advising you guys or giving any memos, and they certainly haven't updated me. I can
No.
tell you that I'm opposite sides with that firm. A case with another community, they've never mentioned anything
So
to
newer
me.
trustees wouldn't have been informed because we weren't getting counsel coming to update us.
Which is actually wrong.
President would have-
They're supposed to come in and get updates at least once in a while, and then if it's going to settle,
It's on the agenda. That's where I was gonna say, the resident anybody who has access to the agenda, I mean, it's posted 48 hours in advance, it's online, it's posted here, anybody would see, and if they know who Sue is, and they, I mean, they can, or even if they don't know who Sue is, they can see. And it also talks about the people, right?
The people
It's got
involved.
the
Yeah,
caption.
it's got everybody, Jim Vella, Rebecca South, it's all right
They
here.
told me all of
It's
that.
on your agenda.
They told
But
me
when it
all of
happened,
that.
I'm sure it was discussed in the street. A lot of people remember it. You don't know as a board member because the council that was handling it probably wasn't doing the proper follow-up to the board.
Well, they had a settlement conference and telephone settlement conferences that I found out without anybody from the village.
Right, which I
The only
don't know.
ones
Just to let you-
that
I just wanted to
that
note
were
that.
probably involved at all were the named defendants.
Right.
You know, Clevis,
I just wanted to note
Salisbury,
that-
Mueller, and Grossman.
Although we're talking about it back in executive session, the community already know about this.
Because it's on the
They
agenda,
do,
which has
but
to be posted.
we're not going to talk about any specifics or anything out there.
He just,
And I mean, we have like, you know, what's it called? Client,
Attorney-client privilege.
yeah. Just like you have patient-client privilege. What you and your attorney talk about, the attorney can't say anything about, but you have free will to go out and tell whoever you want to. That's only can benefit or hurt your case. And so in this situation, you know how Sauk Village is, and people are in general, so when it happened, people knew about it, people talked about it, and now that's probably where they got that information from, and now we're
They probably
here.
saw the agenda, like you say, online
Absolutely.
today, and they knew exactly what it was.
Absolutely.
So basically, though, that we're pretty much covered on this, we're not money out of pocket, or?
You're out at least the 50,000 that you
Okay.
paid for the defense of the case.
you just
And
said-
then the lost run sheets, you know, every time you come up for
Okay.
renewal of your insurance, just like, you know, your car insurance, they look back and see if you've been in any accidents in the last
I
5
thought you
years.
said we were going to end up paying part of that $200,000 left.
The 50,000.
You've already paid 50,000 of the
Right.
legal cost. The law firm has billed over 100,000.
Right.
If you tag that on to the 290,000, you're up to almost 400,000 just for this case. So I'm just saying, as far as your lost run for next year, you already have 400,000 on the books. So you're gonna have to go out and find an insurance carrier that's gonna be like going, oh, I'll give you a good rate.
Go get the gentleman.
Right, you know? That's what they're gonna look
When
at.
you say the law firm has billed over 100,000, do you mean the
On this case.
the other law firm or
The other.
Yeah, her law firm. So that's what he's saying.
No,
290
not
plus
her.
100. No, not
The
her.
firm that was
The
defending
firm
the village.
Right.
Her law firm.
Our law firm.
Yeah, defending the case.
Oh, why is he charging us? Thought he was trying to.
He defended.
Oh, yeah.
Same reason why
okay.
all
No,
of
no,
them
no.
don't charge us. I mean,
The
they
insurance company pays for that though.
Yeah, but it's
They
still.
do, but it's still a cost.
it's still a cost. Okay, okay.
Still a cost.
All right, okay, I'm just saying.
Whatever. Still a cost. They look at it, it's like-
That's
$50,000 that we
true.
have to pay.
I got you.
Everything else, trustee
All right.
Burgess.
The question I have, and I did call the mayor earlier today when I saw this on the agenda. Okay, this happened back, okay, I just found 2009, I thought it was later than that, I thought it was like 2011, but anyway. As you stated, we're gonna be paying high rates now. Whenever we got, you know, who's gonna look at us and they look at our sheet and see that in the last few years, we paid almost $1 million in personal lawsuits. And, but my question is, I wanted defendants, plaintiffs, whoever it is, I wanted them back here so we can find out what happened. Who dropped what ball, there any explanation, who said what, and not only that, you know, there was no repercussions behind this. We just paying $290, $390, whatever the case may be, out because of somebody's negligence, because of what happened. I would have thought that, because I thought this case really had gone by the wayside. I hadn't heard anything in years. I figured, I said, okay, well, maybe she didn't get anything. Now you kind of find out this is just step one of many steps that were taken. I mean, that are being sued on, but what type of repercussions? What do we, you know, I don't even know the whole story. You said more today than I even knew that.
Me too.
You know, that it was, I knew that she was committed, but I didn't know that they had took her keys and ransacked her house and all this and that. And I thought maybe she went on free will to the hospital. So what gave them the right to go in her house, to do all these different things, and there's nothing said, there's nothing from, like you said, 2009, at that time it was Towers and Roger, but I think it was Towers, I'm not sure, I think it was Towers.
November 2009 would be
November, then it is
Towers.
Towers.
Yeah.
But I mean, but to have no, and I think at that time it was, if it was 2009, then that means Becky was,
She was the acting chief.
she was acting chief, because that's right after Martin was let go for lying. So, I mean, but there's not.
No, Martin was.
No, Martin was still there.
May of 2010 is when we let Martin go.
Right.
This was in the beginning. This was right after Lahetta left. Lahetta left
Right, in October.
September.
Okay, then
September,
that's- then
October.
September.
Then that's
Yeah.
So
when
then
now
we
Becky
didn't
took
have,
over.
Martin
Right.
came in
Okay.
probably December, I
Okay.
want to
Right,
say.
So then that's
right.
why-
But she
then
was
that's
the
why-
person that was the
Okay.
next.
But anyway,
can I have
but
a-
mean,
is
but
that my-
there's-
is that our copy,
There's no
Mike?
explanation that was given to this board.
And I can
has to be
release
given
this to the board now?
Nobody said anything. I mean, what
Yep.
gave them the right to do this?
If anybody wants a copy of the
It's a
original
public file.
complaint.
I would.
This is just the Fourth Amendment complaint,
Does
which is
it
the
explain-
allegations.
Explain what you said?
It does.
So if
This is the
anybody wants a
allegations.
copy.
All right.
Okay, okay.
And
But I'm just saying, but
I've seen some of the
There was never
depositions.
nothing brought to this board in response to why they did it or what's
When
going on.
but when you spoke to the mayor this morning,
He said that, I didn't speak to him, he called me back and told me that he was gonna be out of town, and that Jolie was called in sick, and Becky is in school, and the other two officers are not available.
well, yeah, Jim Bella's no longer.
He's not with
Well,
the
Mueller's here, Mueller's still available. I mean,
Miller's here, and so's Grossman.
Joe's Grossman, I mean, but they haven't came and said anything, we just paying out
I don't,
$300,000 and no explanation, no anything, and like I said, the reason why I haven't been saying anything is I thought it was gone. I thought it was.
I don't
over.
think that it's, inconceivable to ask that the mayor ask the chief
I asked
to
him.
approach us in an executive session and kind of
That's
give us,
what I-
because
that-
he was there. He was not the person that's responsible.
No,
at
but I
that
mean,
time,
some,
but he was
but
there,
whoever
so-
gave those orders, we don't know. I don't know who gave the orders to go in her house, who took her keys,
Well,
and who
if
committed.
Rebecca Salisbury was acting chief, then
But now,
she
did
would've
she
been-
give the orders, or did
That's
she
all on her.
actually do it? I mean,
Well, but it was her department at the time.
right.
So I don't know, I don't think that it would be inconceivable to ask the mayor to bring the deputy chief or the chief to executive session to discuss that
Right,
with
that's-
us.
that's why-
At a later date, obviously.
That's
but-
just something that I found out, Now, let me ask you, Mike,
You can ask it because now it's finalized.
okay, so.
But you should also know that there's pending cases that you can ask them about. They might not answer any questions because they're represented by different attorneys on other cases. You have the Burrell matter, where the son was incarcerated in Cook County Jail for 7 years and then found
Right.
not guilty.
Right,
That's a lawsuit, and who knows what will happen
that's
on
what I'm
that.
talking about.
And then there
But
was
I'm not
another.
gonna ask those questions. I just want to know about this.
But you should know that, potentially, your next carrier is going to look at the
Absolutely.
loss run and what's on the
Absolutely.
books.
Absolutely.
So you have that case, and then you have another one that's just filed within the last 2 months, a Robeson case,
So-
similar, where an infant baby had a couple fractures to the baby's
So you're
arms,
saying
and they
that-
charged.
Let him finish.
I'm just telling you,
The
they
baby what?
charged. He had I think 2 fractures to one arm and 3 fractures to the other arm. Is bad case. And it was with Grossman and Olivas again, and they charged the mother. And then I just got the criminal court record. State attorney dropped the charges on the 3rd court date. So the mother is now filing a civil rights lawsuit against the village.
See, that's what I'm being. I know, as you stated, we can't do anything about this. This is a cut and dry. We can't even hold it up. We can't, we can hold it up.
I'm just saying, you can ask, but my belief is that if you bring in any of the defendants on the newer cases, they're not going to answer any questions.
No, I'm gonna bring them, I wanna know about this.
Okay.
I wanna know who gave that order, who did whatever to go and take the keys, to admit her without her will or whatever. Okay, so she said, I'm gonna kill myself. Okay, well, I guess that would give you, but still, why'd you take my keys and why'd you,
Well, then that comes down to, and I can just tell you from reading certain pieces of the depositions and the evidence as it came out, Sherry Jasinski works with a woman. She was there that day, and she testified at her deposition that she never made that statement.
Okay.
So you have
Okay.
one person that's employed by the village testifying essentially against members of your police department saying that, this woman never made that statement.
So they took the word, okay, I see what you're saying, so that could go either way, but I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I feel like everybody that's here, they're getting supplemented. Believe me, we got officers that have sued several times. I mean, everybody, but it's somebody dropping the ball somewhere. And
Well, I think that the police officers in their cases have more to do with people who are not here right now. And whether right or wrong, whether it happened or didn't happen, the powers that be decided that those individuals were wrongfully treated by people who are no longer on the board. I think in this case, the defendants, if that's what you want to call them, are still here. And I think that to prevent future cases like this, because the people you're talking about who got money before, yes, they're still employed. That's because they felt like they were wrongfully treated by past mayors, past police chiefs, past employees. In this situation, what concerns me is that you have 3 cases that have just come out relatively within the last 6 months that are all involving the police department and the wrongs that they did. And I think that that's something we can possibly try to control, whereas the other stuff we can't.
No.
So I think that I think that not talking about the 2 cases that are still pending,
No.
this case being done, I think that it would behoove the village to kind of see kind of what's going on and have the mayor kind of stay more on top of, and myself as the liaison kind of stay more on top of what's going on. The police department is its own little animal. And, sometimes things happen and we don't know that they're not going to tell us because we're civilians, and I understand that. But that's why I'm saying I think we can start with a conversation, not necessarily pointing fingers and why did you do this, why did you do that, but a conversation of more informational speaking, like what happened.
And it should have been ongoing. I mean, I didn't know anything was, I did not know this had got to this point where they were settling. In other words, it's been back, it had to be going back for years.
Yeah.
And then there was, you said 2009, 2015, that's 6 years. So, well, 5.5. But still, it was some dialogue was going. We weren't updated. We weren't told that this was actually happening. We could have asked a long time ago and probably said, okay, at least find out. Now, all we think we're doing now is writing checks. And we're making our liability worth nothing. Like I said before, I don't know who we're going to get. We ran through, 3 insurance companies already since I've been on this board? And each one's going to cost us more and more because they're looking back at how much of a liability we are with our own, not just out there on the streets, but with our own. Our owners are suing, so therefore some things are not. And that's all I wanted to know. I just wanted to know what happened, but you're saying, Mike, is we can't, we can't hold this up. But I still wanted to be that somebody needs to come back and say something.
Do we have to approve this today, or can it be delayed?
If it's delayed for...
They've already done the paperwork. They're exchanging the settlement and release documentation.
So it's pretty
just
much...
because I got an email notification from the federal court that it was settled is the only way I knew about it.
So all we voted
So I reached out to
money?
the attorney that's been handling the case on your behalf, and I'm like, when did this happen? How much?
Right.
Doesn't it need board approval? And he's like, oh, actually it does.
And
I'm like, it would have been nice to have somebody there, like you were at the mediation, or, some input, or to get some dialogue through the years. I totally agree with you.
Because
But it's not a case I was handling.
If they come back, if they sue the hospital, then they're going to come right back on us again because they're going to say our people admitted them into the hospital.
No, they were co-defendants. They're all named defendants. The doctor in the hospital, and they named everybody.
And without any explanation, nobody told us actually what. I mean, none of the employees, the ones that are mentioned in this case, never came before this board and said this is what happened or whatever the case may be. That never happened, and that's the part I have a problem with. Now I'm getting ready to pay $300,000 plus, and no explanation. Just go ahead and pay that, and not even I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Not saying they had to say I'm sorry, but it's a hefty price to pay, and all the paperwork. I mean, not paperwork, but all everything else that goes with that. Because now, yes, we're going to be a high risk.
Okay, again, my question is, have no choice but to approve this tonight.
If you don't approve it,
Mm-hmm.
then the case technically doesn't settle, and then the defense goes on, and now you're on the hook for paying all the defense costs.
So there could be another $400,000 tacked onto it.
But we still
Right,
can't,
and as they say, if there's a finding that you're acting in bad faith, you could be liable for the whole.
In good faith, yeah.
Yeah.
so we don't have any choice.
Well, I mean, I'm not worried about the choice. I'm worried about, well, I'm not talking about having the choice. I understand that. I want explanation.
Accountability.
But we could still have these people in to talk to us afterwards
yeah.
and discuss this case, even though it's been settled, right?
Well, then you discuss, you can actually discuss it more openly because it's been settled.
Can they, now, when they do this, have to do it back here? This is personnel matter, right?
To talk about the
Details of
case?
the case.
Yeah, I would do it in executive session.
Okay, so it does fall under the guidelines.
Unless they want to talk to you individually.
No, I'm talking about, but it does fall under the guidelines of the executive
Sure.
session. Okay.
Now you're gonna hit the area too, with the ongoing criminal investigation. They may not be able to give you any of that information.
What?
There's no ongoing criminal investigation.
No.
You just got done saying there's gonna be some more.
There's other ones.
But that's
There's
on
some
the,
You
other
can't talk about
cases
those
on
with them.
Oh, the other cases?
well,
There's other civil cases. They could choose to
Yeah.
talk to you about it, but my gut
No,
feeling
don't
is they're
wanna
going to
ask
say, I
questions,
have an
And they
attorney.
just may say, okay, there's a lot of other cases, we're not gonna talk about it. We can ask them if they get to it, but that should explain the allegations pretty thoroughly.
That has all
and
the
what was the reason
allegations.
that they said they had to go into her apartment?
I can
Did
tell
they
you.
never say
You
why?
said looking for weapons or something.
Yeah, right. If she was gonna kill herself, there might be
If she made a
ways
statement,
to harm
if she
her.
made a statement that she had
That's just an opinion.
if she made a statement to the paramedics from one, she said anything at all about hurting herself, killing herself, or anything like that, the paramedics had the right to take her to the closest facility and be examined to determine if she's saying. If a police officer told them that they made that statement, which evidently it sounded like they did, and Sherry testified it didn't happen. But during that conversation, if they made a statement that my husband is handicapped, he's home by himself, I need somebody to check him out. That give him the right to enter her apartment.
It says here on page 8, number
I can tell you
27,
that's not what happened.
after entering the Dobesnecki
No,
home,
but I know it.
I'm telling you what they're saying. The 3 defendants searched the home purportedly for a gun used in the shooting of Peter Dobesnecki. They went to look for the gun that was used in the shooting of Peter. I'll make sure that you all have a copy of
but they
this
have a
so you can
search
ask your
warrant.
questions.
No?
They have a search, you have to have a search warrant for that.
It says it's an illegal search, so they took her keys and her purse and they went
And
into
who
her
gave that order
home.
for
And the
that?
only person home at the time was her handicapped husband who did not give them entry. But I'll make sure you all have a copy
you.
because a lot of this information did not come to any of us.
No, I did
Okay,
not.
that's the first time I've heard of any of this, and I get the court papers, so I will make sure you have that.
You didn't know about it.
No, they didn't talk to my
You guys
unit.
didn't know anything
No, in
about it.
2009, no, they wouldn't.
No. So y'all, I'll have this by Friday.
And like you said, that's just part one.
Absolutely. Anything else?
That's enough.
That's it.
Okay.
That's enough.
Anybody have anything else?
I do have, yes, with this now, you said that we did our obligation 50 grand. 50
Yeah, I
grand
didn't have a
for-
chance to talk to Mohan. I mean,
Okay.
that's typically what your
Okay.
SRI is
Now,
50,000,
what happens if they, so it's 50
which you
grand?
should have paid already.
Okay, so therefore, if it goes to something else and we have to defend something else that the village has to do, who pays that?
We do.
Is that-
On this matter?
On this matter.
That litigation will be over. As far as the village.
And then you said this is back when IML was there, so that was 2000.
That's it, Rosie.
That's it, right?
You sure? Any motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Who moved?
Second.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you. All
Okay,
those in favor?
All right.
Motion carries. We
time.
need to reconvene. 7:36.
Okay. All right. Executive session adjourned at 7:36 PM.